welcome back to another video from Off the Post. In today's episode we'll be discussing the top 10 summer transfers in the Premier League, but as always, like, comment, subscribe is very much appreciated and it massively helps out my channel build for the future. The recent support on my videos, all the likes and comments on social media as well, it is absolutely incredible and I can't thank you guys enough so far. But yeah, as always, this is the top 10 summer transfers in the Premier League this season, so I feel like we should kick things off with honourable mentions in the Premier League. We've got 3 players in these positions. So the first one would be Minter at Brighton, obviously signed from Newcastle for roughly about 20 million, I want to say. And he's got 6 goals and 4 assists in this campaign in the Premier League. And that isn't too bad whatsoever for that Brighton side. Obviously, it's a very young team Brighton have. And, the raw pace and talent that Minter has got in for Brighton, his dribbling abilities as well. He's a fantastic player and I feel like he's going to really develop for next season as well. The second player I've got is Ndoye at Everton because he's got a really cool story of joining Rising Ballers, who's sort of like a YouTube team, I'm pretty sure. And, he got signed from there, of course. And, he's done incredibly well so far for his first season at Everton. He's got a few goals and assists here and there as well. And, and him sort of playing off the left, driving forward with the ball. I feel like he's been one of the driving forces in that Everton attack so far this season. And I feel like he can probably, develop for the future as well next season with a few more signings in and around him. Hopefully Everton can make that in the summer with David Moyes in there as well, leading the recruitment business next season. So the third and final honourable mention is Wan-Bissaka at West Ham, okay, because, they've signed him now for like 20 million. And, there always was a player in there for Wan-Bissaka for me, but I just feel like Manchester United wasn't the right fit for him. And don't get me wrong, he has had his injury worries at times, but I feel like, him starting at Crystal Palace, he was a fantastic right back, fantastic defender. That's what he was known for, his defensive capabilities. He was never great going forward. I feel like he's very limited going forward in that sort of sense, in that aspect, but what he can do, sort of providing that defensive ability at the back for West Ham this season, it has been fantastic. And you know what, I feel like they probably might need another centre-back in there, just because when you think about Max Kilman and you think about the French centre-back, what's his name? I forgot his name, but you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, when you think, it's sort of been mix and match here and there for West Ham this season, so if they can be more settled at the back, hopefully Wan-Bissaka can shine again for another season in the Premier League next year round. So those are my 3 honourable mentions. I think we should kick things off now with our top 10 signings of the summer. I'm going to start off with the first player on this list in the 10th spot, and that is Lewis Hall from Newcastle. Okay, Newcastle signed him for 28 million from Chelsea, and after impressing in the first year on loan at Chelsea, where he got 22 appearances and he got 2 goals for that Newcastle team, it was pretty much guaranteed that Newcastle were going to bite the bullet and splash out the big cash on Lewis Hall. And you know what, you can't look back since, can you? Because Lewis Hall has been incredible in that Newcastle side. Well, one of the reasons why they've won the Carabao Cup this season, and obviously got top 5 as well. Pretty much guaranteed now for Newcastle. When you think about Lewis Hall, I really do feel like he can become England's long-term left-back alongside Lewis Miles Skelly as well. Because when you think about, England's left-back position, it's always been a bit of a problem area in the aspect of, in the last 5 to 10 years, you've had the likes of Ben Chilwell and Luke Shaw, don't get me wrong, they are great players on their day, but one thing that's a guarantee with those 2 players, they're always injury prone. For whatever reason it is, they just can never stay fit. And I really do believe that Lewis Hall and Lewis Miles Skelly can battle it out for that left-back spot in the next, 5 or 10 years, or the remaining of their career, because they're both young players, aren't they? I really do feel like in the Premier League, the positions are just getting younger and younger. I don't know what it is, but you're getting 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds breaking through into a lot of first teams this season. But that is my number 10 spot anyway. Moving over to number 9, it is Archie Gray from Spurs, Tottenham Hotspurs, okay? Obviously, they signed him from Leeds for 30 million. He's a boyhood fan of Leeds, of course, but, he's been fantastic this season. He's pretty much played in every defensive position on the pitch. He's played CDM, centre-back, right-back. And don't get me wrong, when you think about Spurs this season, they've been awful, okay? Being 16th or 17th in the Premier League, you would not have expected that to start the season. But for me, he's been a part of a very shaky defence, a shaky Tottenham Hotspur team. and I think he's done very well, all things considered. You know, he's had loads of defensive partnerships this season. It's been chopping and changing each game. So from that perspective, you can't really fault it. And for me, he's a very versatile player, and I feel like he's just going to get even better and better for the future. And you know, next season as well, Archie Gray will be looking forward to playing against his brother Harry Gray against Leeds United in the Premier League, because obviously, you know, I think he comes from like a family of fantastic footballers. His granddad played football. He's got like 4 brothers who play football as well, I'm pretty sure. So what an absolutely incredible family right there, and good story for their family. Okay, that's my number 9 pick. Moving over to number 8 now. It is Marmoush from Man City, obviously signed there for 60 million in January, and what he's done for that Man City side, you know, it has been miraculous. Okay, a big word right there. Don't think I've ever said that in my life, but yeah, you know what I mean. Okay, signed from the Bundesliga, had a fantastic start from Frankfurt. Okay, he got 15 goals and 9 assists in the Bundesliga, and he's got 6 goals in 14 games for Man City. So what he's done there has been fantastic, and you know, I feel like, you know, he's sort of like Julian Alvarez replacement, and what he's done, he's brought the pace, he's brought the dribbling ability, he's got a few goals to his game as well. So what he's provided to that Manchester City attack has been fantastic. When you think about Marmoush, I think it's him and Silvino are the only ones that have stepped up Man City this season, because, you know, in that sort of declining Man City side, the sort of old guard haven't really performed as well as they have in previous seasons, and the new gen, if you like, you know, haven't really kicked on this season either, with the likes of, you know, Phil Foden, Rico Lewis, Erling Haaland, all those sort of players. But yeah, even with the likes of Erling Haaland, obviously he's had a fantastic season, scored 21 goals, but let me just give you a quick little stat here. In his first season, he scored 37. In his second season, he got 26. And in his third, he got 21. Of course, he's been injured for a lot of the season, or parts of the season, sorry. But it's always been a bit of a decline in recent years for Erling Haaland. So hopefully next season he can sort of get back to his best. But back onto Marmoush just quickly. I think he probably has been one of the star players in that Man City attack. And I do feel like he'll kick on again next season and probably get more goals and assists and get Man City back to their best. Right, so moving over to our number 7th pick is Emile Smith-Rowe from Fulham. Obviously, he signed there from Arsenal for 34 million, a massive fee in the summer transfer window. Emile Smith-Rowe has scored 6 goals and 3 assists in the Premier League, and even though the numbers are quite low from that sort of point of view in the Premier League, I feel like it was the right move for him to sort of get out of Arsenal, because he just wasn't getting enough game time like he would have liked, of course, and, you know, the injury worries are sort of holding them back a little bit as well. So to join sort of misfits at Fulham from those, you know, them sort of signing those sort of like oddball players that a lot of the big 6 teams didn't really want, you know, to sort of have a good group of bunch of players now under Marco Silva. He's done a great job, because he's produced some magical moments for Fulham so far this season. Emile Smith-Rowe has been a part of that team as well, because when you think of the likes of him, Iwobi, Calvin Bassey, Ryan Sessegnon, who else is in there, Raul Jimenez, all these types of players, they've got a real good group, a real good bunch of players now, you know, good steady pros, and I do feel like they'll be able to kick on next season. And who knows, can Fulham get into like a Conference League next season? Can they get into Europa League? We'll have to wait and see, of course, but it could be very interesting to see what they might do in the summer as well to bring in some more players. Alright, so moving over to our number 6th place, it is Marco Asensio from Aston Villa. Obviously, he signed on loan from PSG in January, of course, and, you know, he hasn't looked back since, really, has he? He's scored, I think, 8 goals and 1 assist in all competitions, so he has been very vital for that Aston Villa side, and obviously he's brought in that Champions League experience to that Aston Villa team, because, you know, that side was probably lacking that Champions League cutting edge in those, you know, final third aspect as well, and that's probably where we, you know, scored a few of our goals this season as well, from the help of Marco Asensio. And there are, you know, rumours that he's going to join Aston Villa in the summer for around 13 million. So for me, I feel like he probably will be the replacement for Leon Bailey, because I don't know if you've seen the last game recently, but Leon Bailey, he looked a little bit down in the dumps at the end of the game. I don't know if anybody else noticed that, but I feel like he was sort of waving to the Aston Villa fans to try and say it might be, you know, it might be his time might be up at Aston Villa. I'm not too sure. I don't know if I'm reading too much into that, but I don't know. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see with what happens with Leon Bailey in the summer. But either way, I feel like Marco Asensio could be a good signing for Aston Villa to, challenge in Europa League, potentially Champions League. We'll have to wait and see what happens on the final game of the season. But that is my number 6 pick. Moving over to my number 5th pick, it is Ismail Sarr from Crystal Palace. Now, I've spoken about this guy quite a few times on my channel, and he signed for 12.7 million from Marseille in League One, of course, and this season he scored 11 goals and 7 assists in all competitions, and he's been a fantastic player for that Crystal Palace team. On the right wing, he probably is arguably one of their best players in that team. But then again, saying that, I feel like he probably does get overlooked a little bit by the likes of Eze, Mateta, Adam Wharton, Marguerite, all these incredible players as well. But Ismail Sarr this season helping, obviously Crystal Palace win an FA Cup against Manchester City. Incredible for their players, incredible for their team, incredible for their fans. I can't even speak, can't get my words out. But yeah, Ismail Sarr, fantastic signing. When you think about the price as well, 12.7 million. You can't, it's a bit of a bargain really, isn't it? You can't expect much better than that, can you? Okay, moving over to my number 4 pick, it is Nikola Milinkovic. Hopefully I've said his name right. Obviously, the centre-back for Nottingham Forest. He signed for 12 million from Fiorentina in Syria this season. And for me, he is one of the main reasons why Nottingham Forest are challenging for a top 5 place this season in the Premier League. They have been fantastic this whole season. And for me, he sort of just came out the blue. For me, he was a player that nobody was expecting him to be this good in the Premier League. Honestly, his sort of partnership with Murillo has been fantastic. And, Nottingham Forest have had such a solid defence this whole season, and I feel like him and Murillo have been at the heart of why Nottingham Forest have done so well this season. And obviously to get 13 clean sheets, obviously Sel's got 13 clean sheets, but to help out with that has been probably one of the main reasons why they're right up there in the league. Right, moving over to my number 3rd pick is Liam Delap from Ipswich. When you think about Liam Delap, obviously he signed for 20 million from Manchester City, okay, and he scored 12 goals and got 2 assists this season. From that perspective, spending the whole season fighting a relegation battle for Ipswich, it's been very, very tricky for Liam Delap to score goals, and to get 12 goals and 2 assists, it is very good from that point of view. And for me, I do really feel like he's a throwback footballer who's just got an eye for a goal. He's got bags of ability, and I really do feel like he's going to kick on next season. Obviously, he's got like £30 million release clause in his contract, so he's been heavily rumoured with the likes of moving to the likes of Newcastle, Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United. They've all showed massive interest into the striker, and I really do feel like he sort of needs to get that move like very, very spot on, because if he moves to the likes of, for me, if he goes to a Chelsea or Manchester United, I feel like that's a little bit too early in his career. And Manchester United isn't the right club for him because they've already got a young number 9 in there. For Chelsea, they buy players every single season. They buy 20 plus players every single season. So if he doesn't go in there and hit the ground running straight away, his future might be up at Chelsea. We don't know. We never know with Chelsea. It's a very weird place to sign for me. So for my personal opinion, the best move for him would be Newcastle as a replacement for Alexander Isak. But if he doesn't leave, then maybe an Arsenal. I don't know. One of those 2 clubs for me, because they're more of a steady, stable clubs that know how to get the best out of players in recent years at least. Right, moving over to my number 2 pick here, it is Elliot Anderson for Nottingham Forest. Obviously signed from Newcastle for 35 million, massive transfer fee. And for me, obviously Newcastle got rid of him because of PSR regulations, of course. And again, I feel like he was a player that nobody was really expecting big things from him, but I feel like I don't know if it was just me, but I was massively surprised to see how well Elliot Anderson has played for Nottingham Forest. His numbers are quite low. He scored 2 goals and got 6 assists in the Premier League, but I feel like he offers way more than just numbers in that perspective. Obviously, he complements Morgan Gibbs-White so well in that midfield, because he's sort of playing that number 8 role where He picks the ball up from deep, drives through midfield, plays off out wide to the wingers, into the striker as well. And you know, he does do a good job balancing out that midfield with Morgan Gibbs-White. And correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like at Newcastle he came through as a right winger, and then in Nottingham Forest he sort of transitioned into more of number 8, and he hasn't looked back since, has he, Elliot Anderson? So yeah, that is my number 2 pick. Right, okay, moving on to my number 1 pick in the top 10 summer transfers, it is Dean Huijsen from Bournemouth. Okay, obviously when we speak about this centre-back, he has been one of the best in the Premier League this season. Obviously signed for 12 million from Juventus, and since he joined, there's been no looking back, okay? And he's already got his big summer move to Real Madrid after they activated his 50 million release clause in his contract, okay? I feel like he's one of those players that might be a little bit too good for Bournemouth. However, saying that, obviously he's got bags of ability right now and bags of potential. But saying that, should he stay at Bournemouth for one more season? Is it a little bit too soon? I feel like it is, just because everything has sort of gone his way this season. He's not really had that many injuries. And I feel like if he stayed at Bournemouth to get a little bit more experience, it probably would be the best thing for his career. Because we know if you join Real Madrid and you don't like hit the ground running straight away, a little bit like Chelsea from that perspective, you know, the Real Madrid fans will not. I don't want to say slate. That might be a little bit too harsh, but they will get on his back, and they might make it a little bit too. What's the word? A little bit too frustrating for him just to begin with at such an early age. Obviously, he's just turned 20, so if he just stayed in the Premier League for one more season to get a little bit more experience under his belt, I feel like that would do him the world of good. But Dean Huijsen, you know, when we speak about Rolls-Royce defenders, and I feel like he does come under that category. You know, he's got the pace, he's got the power, he's got the passing ability. For me, he sort of just misses out of challenges at times. He could be a little bit more aggressive at times. You know, but maybe that's where he needs to build up his strength a little bit. But again, you know, he's only 20, so I'm sure he'll definitely work on that in future seasons, of course. But when we speak about, obviously, you know, bargains of the season, and when you think about value for money transfers, Bournemouth getting Dean Huijsen for only 12 million, that is an absolute steal. And there was a good story where Jose Mourinho was the first one that spotted his talent. Obviously, Jose Mourinho signed him for Roma on loan last season, I'm pretty sure. And you know, everywhere Dean Huijsen has been in his professional career so far, he's always left after one season. I think he started off at Malaga, then he joined Juventus next season, went to Roma on loan halfway through the season, and then joined Bournemouth. So he's only been at clubs for one season, which is a little bit strange. I'm not too sure. Is he an industry plant in that sort of sense? I don't know. Everybody loves Dean Huijsen so far this season, don't they? He's been spoken about so much, and for me, I feel like I had to give him his flowers because, again, he has been one of the best centre-backs in the league. He's been a breath of fresh air this season, and, you know, I feel like he's going to be fantastic for Real Madrid because, again, you know, they've got a few ageing centre-backs with, like, Rudiger and Eder Militao, obviously. I think Rudiger is a little bit older than he is, but yeah, I feel like he can break through there in a few seasons, in a season or two's time, who knows. Maybe he can become the next Sergio Ramos for them, I don't know. But yeah, these are my top 10 summer transfers of the Premier League season. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Who do you agree with? Who do you disagree with? Is Dean Huijsen your first pick? How good has Elliot Anderson been this season? Where do you think Liam Delap will end up next season in the Premier League? All that sort of stuff. Do you think, you know, Nottingham Forest will finish top 4 or top 5 in the Champions League? I don't know. And yeah, those are all my questions. Of course, I just want to quickly say sorry. I've had a few lighting issues in this video, so hopefully it isn't too distracting for you guys. Hopefully you guys haven't noticed that. I'll have to check that back in the edit. But of course, as always, like, comment, subscribe. It is very much appreciated. The support on our most recent videos has been absolutely incredible, outstanding. I can't thank you guys enough. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.